You're good.
Brian Stulz, auburnsports.com, Auburn Rivals.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
On Auburn Day. I don't know about you, but we're about damn exhausted, but it's great to have you
I just got here yesterday, so
Okay.
I'm fine. I did maybe enjoy myself a little too much last night, but
That certainly played a part, you know?
yeah. So
Well, we were worried, day 4, it's usually the lull. Everybody's thinking about leaving and stuff like that.
yeah.
We had Brian first up this morning.
Carson was great.
But, man, he kicked the front door in, didn't
yeah,
he?
he was taking no prisoners there. I mean, that was great to see. It's awesome to see him approach the controversy and taking positives out of it.
Absolutely.
And I think that, like he said, it's united the team. I think it's brought this team together. He said earlier that there's real leadership on this team, and I think the silver lining is right there. So
It seems like that's been the theme of the offseason for him.
Yeah.
Controlling the message. He's got his own podcast, mentioned by Sankey.
Oh, yeah.
Nice plug right there.
yeah, it was.
But, I mean, he just comes right out, and it's basically like you're either in my corner or you're out.
Yeah.
And he's going to call you out if you're not in his corner.
Well, he called Auburn out. I mean, he didn't come back from vacation when they asked. He was still in Mexico and enjoying his time. The administrators were like, would you like to come back? He's like, nope, enjoy my vacation. And, he didn't do anything to, make him mad or anything. He just he did his thing, and they didn't find any reason to fire him. And I like the guy. He needs to pick it up in recruiting.
Yeah.
That is one thing where Auburn is just way behind. I think they're way behind in NIL as far as a university and as far as the boosters and stuff like that. But they can get that together.
But could you say it's fair that they're a little bit behind in recruiting, given the fact they, tried to oust the guy?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, how can you recruit to that?
You got to think that every coach at an SEC school is going to a kid and be like, he's not going to be there next year.
Right.
I mean, they tried to fire him after the first year.
Right.
And they came close to beat Bama, but that 5-game losing streak didn't help. But they came close to beating Alabama, and that's definitely negative recruiting. I wouldn't say negative. I would say,
all the other SEC coaches were saying it.
I mean, I was. My buddy made a good point the other day. He'd say negative recruiting is like making stuff up.
Right.
Yeah.
This is true. They tried to oust him.
Right.
I mean, it's not like they're making something up here. I mean, this was national news for
Absolutely.
almost 3 weeks. And, I mean, for the longest time, I didn't think he was going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I was hearing was he's gone tomorrow, he's gone tomorrow, he's gone tomorrow. And tomorrow never came. And I hope he can pull it together because he's a likable guy. I mean, in person, he's very personable, very likable. His personality is starting to shine, I think. And the way he came out and just took control of the message, unbelievable. I love it.
Well, we've not got to see them all. I got to watch a little bit of Tank in the small room and of course, Brian out here and then in the small room. And it's a theme. They're coming in here, us against the world.
Absolutely.
And you can kind of sense that, we're backed in the corner, but we're going to fight.
And in the history, that's when Auburn really thrives, is when preseason they're picked not to do well, and they're not going to be picked to do well this year. So that's when they really thrive. I mean, 2013 came out of nowhere. 2010 really came out of nowhere. 2017, they were kind of picked high, but not that high to win the West. But, that's when Auburn is Auburn. I mean, is when their backs against the wall, and they have that feeling that, it is us against the rest of the SEC. So, it'll be – the big thing for them is the 5 home games to start the year.
Yeah.
If they get off to a 5-0, 4-1 start with wins over Penn State, Missouri.
Got to beat Missouri, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
At home.
Yeah. And LSU. Who knows what LSU is going to be? I mean, they're going to have talent, but we don't know Brian Kelly's first year, who's going to be quarterback. But if they get off to a 5-0, 4-1 start, the fan base will be behind them. And, I mean, they're already behind him because of the whole controversy and how Auburn tried to Auburn everything up.
Right.
And, that's
let me
key.
ask you something. I'll put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Because I've been hearing buzz, and we never really talked about it. We talked about it off air a lot, but we've heard from multiple people that old Eli Drinkowitz has got his eyes on that Auburn job.
Really?
Should have become open. And, of course, we just talked about it. They're coming down to the Plains this year.
Yeah.
I think he was an assistant there.
Yeah, he
years
was on
ago.
the 2010 team.
Right.
He was an assistant under Malzahn, actually.
So, I mean, that's going to be a personal game for him. I mean, these coaches want to win every game, obviously.
Yeah.
But
to prove that he can do the job and win Jordan Hare as an opposing coach, that's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Drinkwitz, I like them. I don't know him personally, but, it's Harson's job for right now.
Yeah. And
we'll see.
The perception is, everyone we talk to, there's no one really on the hot seat in the SEC aside from Harsin.
Yeah.
Everybody's got Harsin on the hot seat. Is he really on the hot seat right now with all the support even?
Absolutely, because there's still the powers that be in Auburn that still want him gone.
Right.
It's Auburn being Auburn.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I think you can say that Malzahn was on the hot seat for 6 years. I mean, Christ. He would be on the hot seat, then he'd beat Georgia or Alabama, and then he'd be off it for a year. Then he would lose to them, and then he would be back on it. And it's just they can't get their crap together at the university. It's really sad to see, but it is what it is.
Are we sleeping on Auburn at all? And the only reason I bring that up, we had Brandon Gall on yesterday, and he made a case for the Auburn Tigers. One of the things you've already mentioned is the scheduling. Mm-hmm. The second is they've got the best running back in the SEC.
I agree.
A tough offensive line, a tough defensive front. Those are the pieces needed to compete in the SEC. Do you see any other type of story where we're looking 6 games in saying, wait, maybe we should give Brian an extension?
If the offensive line gels, and they're all veterans, they're all coming back, and it's been the weakness the last 2, 3, 4 years of this team. If they gel, the sky's the limit for this team because they have playmakers.
Yeah.
Coy Moore coming from LSU. They have Shedrick Jackson back, who doesn't get a lot of credit, but can be a reliable receiver. Like you said, they have Tank. They have Jarquez. They have a plethora of tight ends.
Yeah.
Then they have Landon King, who moved to wide receiver, who's playing both tight end and wide receiver. Then you mentioned the defense. The defense is going to be the strength.
Right.
And early on, I think they're going to have to win some games for them.
Yeah.
But like you said, if that offense hits its stride and the defense is as good as it should be, you're right.
And Brian gets the quarterback the way we think he's going to be. He's the quarterback whisperer.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Last time you were on the show, you said Zach Calzada. Clearly, they're bringing him in to start. You still think that's the case?
I think so. I think it's his job to lose. Mm-hmm. I think it's really down to him and Ashford because Ashford is more mobile than maybe Calzada is.
Yeah, looked great in the spring.
Well, we haven't seen Calzada in Auburn yet because he's been injured. I mean, all these passing drills and stuff like that, but until he's under the fire. Mm-hmm. I think T.J. Finley's a serviceable backup.
Yeah.
I mean, he played well while injured last year.
Georgia State game,
he came in and everyone thought he was going to be the Heisman winner. I was actually at a wedding that I actually took off that weekend. I was at a wedding for a friend in Montgomery. We were all watching it on phones and we're like, wait, what's the score? So, that game was interesting. And, Bo Nix is gone and apparently Harsin or Patrick Nix in the coaches meeting was at the high school coaches meeting with Harsin. And Pat Nix stood up and said, Bo didn't leave because of this guy, pointing out Harsin.
Yeah.
And he kind of said it's Auburn fans, but
Now, I wanted to get your thoughts on Zach Calzada from what you saw of him at A&M because I think he gets a bad rap. I know he made a couple mistakes, but my God, was he tough in the Auburn game?
Yeah.
I thought his season was done. Same thing with Alabama. They came in and got him in the knees.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, God, he's done. He still stayed out there. He's tough as nails.
He is a tough cookie.
Yeah.
I think he will have to be.
You can cuss on
No, I think he will be a great asset. I think the fact that he has that year starting in the SEC, he had a great game against Alabama. He had a serviceable game against Auburn, against a great defense that game. And, I think if he gets the protection and the receivers step up, I think he has all the potential.
Mm-hmm. And that
strong arm.
Yeah.
Cannon of an arm. So, it depends on what – I mean –
I have to ask this one because I lost a lot of money this day. Take me back to the Mississippi State game. What did you do after that ball game? Because I wanted to cry. I think I did cry a little bit.
Do you really want to know what I did?
Yeah.
I wrote my story at halftime.
Oh, no.
I left. I'm like, this is a blowout. I'm leaving. I got back to my apartment and watched the second half. And I'm like, what is going on here? I had my entire column written. And I'm like, oh, well, delete. Control-Alt, delete. And, I had to delete everything. And is that Josh Heupel in there? He looks skinnier in person. Anyway,
It's the jacket.
yeah. But, yeah, that game was unreal. And I texted Mike Leach after, I'm like, what did you guys do? Like, what just happened here? 40 unanswered points in Jordan Hare? That never happens.
Never happens.
And
It's insane.
People forget. I mean, at that point, Brian Harsin was legitimately a
6-2.
candidate for SEC Coach of the Year.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and then here we are a month later. It's like we didn't.
They were
think- no one,
6-3. 6-3.
No one thought he was going to survive.
No.
I mean, it's just wild how quickly things can change. You know what?
Yeah. So, are you?
Let's go ahead and close this one.
Just playing. I'm just talking. Talking crap about you and the Cardinals.
Last thing I got for you, Brian, that Penn State game, they've already announced nationally televised.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be so many eyes on it. How critical is that game for the entire season?
I think that's the turning point of the season.
Yeah.
I think if they win that game, they'll gain momentum.
Because
I
that's
think
going to be top
Missouri,
15, top 10 Penn
It's a
State.
sexy win.
It is.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a very, very, and it's the first time, you might not know this, first time a Big Ten opponent's ever played at Jordan Hare.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
insane.
no, I didn't know that.
I mean, Maryland's played there, but they were part of the ACC back then. Yeah, or whatever conference they were in, like the Metro. Or
What book did you pull that one out of?
I went back through the schedule. I'm like, has Auburn ever hosted a Big Ten team?
You may be lying to me, and I had
No,
no
no, no.
idea. I'm like, oh, man.
But Maryland came when Boomer Esiason was the quarterback back in the 80s.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on,
So
man.
that game's absolutely crucial for them because they should have won that game last year in Penn State.
Yeah.
I wish it was a night game because Jordan Hare at night is just
Yeah.
spectacular. But it is the 2:30 game. I guess CBS. I'm
Yeah.
guessing. And the crowd will be pumped. I think they're going with the orange out instead of a white out like Penn State.
Yeah.
And I mean, they got two kind of worn up games. I mean, San
Yeah.
Jose State is not that bad.
Right.
I mean, they'll need to focus on that. Like, they don't want Georgia State to happen again.
Right.
But, that game will be huge, and they needed to not give that quarterback 10 seconds to throw the ball again like they did last year. I think that's so because Derek Mason was, what would you call, hesitant to rush the passer last year. So, and now he's at Oklahoma State, taking less money, which I don't understand, but I guess it was a Harsin thing
Yeah.
with him.
On your way out the door, Brian, tell the audience where to follow you and all the work
absolutely.
you're doing.
AuburnSports.com, part of the Rivals Network. And follow me on the Twitter at Brian J. Stulz. And my DMs are open if you hate me.
Perfect.
Thank you for your time.